We all know that emergencies happen. We see it on the news, hear about it from friends, and sometimes we experience it ourselves. But let me tell you, being prepared for an emergency is not just about being informed. It's about stacking the odds in your favor when Mother Nature throws her worst. That's why I've teamed up with the Red Cross to bring you this essential guide to building an emergency stockpile. We're diving deep into the 5 essential elements you need to survive and thrive when disaster strikes. We're talking about clean water, enough food to keep you going, the tools to handle medical emergencies, staying warm and sheltered, and maintaining hygiene no matter what. Stick with me and the Red Cross, and we'll make sure you're ready for anything. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on any life-saving tips. Water. It's the most essential element for survival. You can go without food for days, even weeks, but without water, you're in serious trouble after just a few days. In an emergency, your regular water supply might be compromised. That's why having multiple ways to source and purify water is absolutely critical. First up, let's talk storage. The Red Cross recommends storing at least 1 gallon of water per person per day. That means for a family of 4, you're looking at a minimum of 28 gallons for a 1-week supply. Don't forget your furry friends. They need water too. Now, storing water is great, but what happens when your supply runs dry? That's where purification comes in. Think of it as your backup water source. There are a few different ways to purify water, and it's smart to have more than one method in your arsenal. First, you've got your trusty boil notice. Boiling water for at least 1 minute kills most harmful bacteria and viruses. It's the most reliable method, but it does require a heat source, which might not always be available. Next up, water filters. These handy devices remove impurities and contaminants, giving you safe drinking water. There are many different types of filters available, from portable straw filters to larger gravity-fed systems. Choose a filter that best suits your needs and budget. Finally, there are chemical treatments like iodine tablets or chlorine drops. These are lightweight and easy to pack, making them ideal for bug-out bags. They do have a bit of a taste, but hey, when it's a choice between a little chlorine and a nasty case of dysentery, I know what I'd choose. Remember, having access to clean water is non-negotiable in a survival situation. Make sure your emergency stockpile includes both adequate water storage and reliable purification methods. You've secured your water supply. Now it's time to talk about keeping those energy levels up. In an emergency, your access to fresh food might be limited. That's why stocking up on non-perishable foods is crucial. We're talking about items that have a long shelf life and don't require refrigeration. First on the list is canned goods. They're like the workhorses of the non-perishable world. Think canned fruits, vegetables, soups, meats, and fish. They're packed with essential nutrients and can last for years. Just make sure you have a can opener handy. Next, let's talk about grains. Rice, pasta, oats, and quinoa are all excellent sources of carbohydrates which provide your body with energy. Store them in airtight containers to keep them fresh and pest-free. Don't underestimate the power of protein. Canned beans, lentils, nuts, and seeds are all great sources of plant-based protein. You can also include canned tuna, chicken, or salmon for a boost of animal protein. Now let's not forget about flavor. Spices and condiments can make all the difference in an emergency. Salt, pepper, herbs, hot sauce, and even a little honey can go a long way in making your meals more palatable. Finally, consider adding some comfort foods to your stockpile. Things like chocolate, hard candy, or even a jar of peanut butter can provide a much-needed morale boost in a stressful situation. Remember, the key here is to choose foods that you'll actually eat and that provide a good balance of nutrients. Don't forget to rotate your stock regularly to ensure freshness. In the wild, I've learned the hard way that accidents happen, and when they do, you need to be prepared to handle them. That's why having a well-stocked first aid kit is non-negotiable. This isn't just about treating minor cuts and scrapes, it's about being ready for anything. First and foremost, you need the basics. Adhesive bandages in various sizes, gauze pads, antiseptic wipes, antibiotic ointment, medical tape, and pain relievers like ibuprofen or acetaminophen are essential for treating minor injuries. Next, let's talk about wound care. You'll need sterile gloves, a thermometer, tweezers, scissors, safety pins, and a CPR face shield. These items will help you manage more serious wounds and prevent infection. Don't forget about medications. If you or someone in your family relies on prescription medications, make sure you have an adequate supply on hand. It's also a good idea to have over-the-counter medications for common ailments like diarrhea, allergies, and colds. Now, this is important. Knowing how to use your first aid kit is just as important as having one. The Red Cross offers first aid and CPR training courses, both online and in person. I highly recommend taking a course so you're prepared to handle any medical emergency. Remember, your first aid kit is your lifeline in an emergency. Make sure it's well-stocked, organized, and easily accessible. And don't forget to check the expiration dates on your supplies regularly. Out in the elements, exposure can be your biggest enemy. Maintaining your core body temperature is crucial for survival, especially in cold or wet conditions. That's why having the right shelter and warmth supplies in your emergency stockpile is essential. First things first, you need a plan. If you have to evacuate your home, where will you go? Do you have a designated shelter in mind? Having a plan in place will save you valuable time and reduce stress in an emergency. Now let's talk about shelter. A tarp, rope, and duct tape can transform a simple space into a temporary shelter. These items are lightweight, versatile, and can be used for a variety of purposes. If you have room, consider adding a tent to your stockpile for more substantial shelter. Next up, warmth. Blankets, sleeping bags, and warm clothing are essential for staying warm in cold weather. Pack layers of clothing made from wool or synthetic fabrics, which will keep you warmer than cotton. Don't forget about hats, gloves, and thick socks. Hand warmers are a lifesaver in cold conditions. They provide instant heat and can be used to warm your hands, feet, or even your core. Pack a few extra in your emergency kit, you won't regret it. Finally, consider a source of emergency heat. A portable propane heater can be a lifesaver in cold weather, but make sure you use it safely and only in well-ventilated areas. Candles can also provide some warmth and light, but use them with caution and never leave them unattended. Remember, staying warm and dry is essential for survival in an emergency. Make sure your stockpile includes the necessary supplies to weather any storm. We've covered water, food, medical care, and shelter. Now let's talk about something equally important, even if it's not always pleasant to discuss: sanitation and hygiene. In an emergency situation, maintaining personal hygiene is about more than just feeling fresh, it's about preventing the spread of disease. First on the list is hand sanitizer. Keeping your hands clean is crucial for preventing the spread of germs. Pack hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol and make it a habit to use it frequently, especially before handling food or treating wounds. Next up, toilet paper. It's one of those things we take for granted until it's gone. Stock up on enough toilet paper to last your family for at least 2 weeks. Consider a portable camping toilet as well, especially if you anticipate being without running water. Wet wipes are your best friend in an emergency. They can be used for everything from cleaning hands and faces to wiping down surfaces. Choose biodegradable wipes if possible to minimize your environmental impact. Don't forget about feminine hygiene products. Stock up on enough supplies to last for at least 2 weeks per person. Consider menstrual cups or reusable pads as a sustainable alternative. Garbage bags are essential for maintaining sanitation. Use them to dispose of waste properly and prevent the spread of disease. Tie the bags securely and dispose of them as soon as possible. Finally, a small bottle of dish soap goes a long way. You can use it to wash dishes, clean surfaces, and even bathe in a pinch. Choose a biodegradable soap to minimize your impact on the environment. Remember, maintaining hygiene in an emergency is about more than just comfort. It's about staying healthy and preventing the spread of disease. Don't underestimate the importance of these essential supplies. We've covered a lot of ground today, but it all boils down to this: being prepared can be the difference between a challenging situation and a catastrophic one. Remember the 5 essential elements: clean water, nourishing food, a well-stocked first aid kit, shelter and warmth to protect you from the elements, and the sanitation supplies to maintain your health. Don't wait for disaster to strike before you act. Start building your emergency stockpile today. It doesn't have to be an overwhelming task. Start small, add a few items to your shopping list each week, and before you know it, you'll have a well-stocked kit that can see you through any situation. Remember, knowledge is power, and being prepared empowers you to face the unknown with confidence.